WBXO Classic Rock Redefined, and very excited to have on the Pat Show today a rock legend, an iconic songwriter, and master keyboardist for the band YES, the one and only Geoff Downes. Hey Geoff, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. Good to be on it. How are you doing?
I am great. Thank you for your time. Geoff, along with original members, the great master shredder guitar player Steve Howe, original drummer Alan White, along with bassist Billy Sherwood and vocalist John Davidson, are on tour celebrating the 50th anniversary of the band YES. They are in Michigan tonight and heading east to New York, and we can't wait to see them at the Paramount on July 17th. There are VIP packages. Get your tickets today. Geoff, just about halfway through this tour so far, and I also hear Tony Kaye is along for the ride. How's the tour going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. I think that having Tony on board is a real bonus as well, and we've got quite a few other things planned coming up. We've got a fan convention in Philadelphia over a couple of days, so there's been quite a lot to keep us occupied. But the tour's been going great. The reviews have been fantastic, and everyone's having a good time. So that's the main thing, I think.
That's excellent. Hey, having such an extensive catalog of music, besides some of the classic hits, what was the process, if you can, or the selections on what songs to play for the shows?
Well, it's obviously very difficult because YES is such a vast catalogue of music. But we went through it in quite fine detail and tried to balance it up so that everything was we got a good cross section of YES's music within the 2-hour show or 2.5-hour show that we put on. So it fell into place quite easily actually in the end.
Excellent. So our listeners know just a little bit about your background, Geoff. I read that both your parents are musically involved. Your father was a church organist. Your mom played the piano. So certainly growing up, music is in your blood. You learned to play the keyboards. You went on to college and obtained your degree. Am I correct with all that so far?
Yeah, that's all fairly well documented. And it was a very musical environment that I was brought up in. And I was in church choirs and that sort of thing, so it was always very much a close part of my life. And I think when I went to college and embarked on a musical career, it was something that I never really wanted to do anything else, to be honest.
And then you got involved with a couple of bands, and I wish I had more time, but I loved the title of this band called She's French, but I don't want to get into the whole background and take up so much time with that. We'll talk about that the next time I get you on the phone. But I want to move forward into 79 and 80. You and Trevor Horn formed the Buggles and had that worldwide #1 hit, Video Killed a Radio Star, which was the first video used as the opener for the launch of MTV. My question is, what was going through your mind when the song and video started to snowball? What was the impact that it had on the band at the time?
Well, I think at the time we were not really doing very much. I'd already split off from Trevor. He was doing production and I was doing I was with Asia, or forming Asia at that time, it was in 1981. And when we heard that it had been used for this, it was a very formative channel at that point. It was not really, didn't seem that significant. But as you pointed out, it snowballed very, very quickly, and MTV became the staple diet of young American people. And I think that we were proud that we were chosen as the first video, and it's something that is always going to be there, I think.
Yeah, they can never take that away from you. We're talking with
That's it.
We're talking with rock legend Geoff Downes of YES, and you and Trevor eventually joined YES, and I want to say for the album Drama, and kind of brought a different sound to the group, would you say?
I think so. It still had all the hallmarks of the YES album, and I think that we just added a whole new dimension into YES's music at that point. And I think that, but then really looking to go somewhere else because they'd had all that massive success with the big pieces in the late 60s and 70s. And I think then the three guys that we hooked up with, Steve, Chris, and Alan at the time, were really looking forward to try and take it somewhere else. And I think we fitted the bill, and we came in and added some of our more, certainly Trevor added a lot of the technological lyrics. It wasn't so much pastoral themes, which is what Yes was sort of known for. And I think that we added, I suppose you could say, more of a cutting edge to Yes at that point.
There you go. I have to agree, and I think you guys did bring an excellent dynamic to the sound of Yes, and I can't believe yesterday, actually, the 3rd anniversary of the loss of the great Chris Squire, which is still mind-boggling that he's not joining you guys on this tour, but I'm sure he's looking down and very proud.
I hope he is, because obviously it was a very sad time for all of us, because I don't think anyone knew how seriously ill he was at that point, and it was his chosen thing that he brought Billy Sherwood in to do the tour. Hopefully he was going to get better, but sadly that didn't happen. But he was always a very big mainstay of certainly my involvement in everything, and he was a great guy, and he was a fantastic musician.
Yeah, definitely the heart and soul and the staple of Yes for over so many years. And as you mentioned, 1981, need to talk about the super group Asia and your dearest close friend, the late great John Wetton. I mean, wow, what a debut album! #1 on the charts for like 9 weeks. You and John co-wrote many of the songs, great hits. You had this chemistry with John. Can you explain what the songwriting process was working with John?
Well, I think it was the fact that we both had similar backgrounds. We were both from the north of England, and John also was in church choir, so we had fairly common influences, and we just hit it off straight away when we started to write some stuff together, and things just seemed to fit in perfectly, and even up until before John died, we were writing stuff together in very much the same format. It was just I'd have one idea and he'd have another idea, and we just put those ideas together. That was really, I know it sounds simple, but that was really how we operated. And of course we were very, very sad when John passed away, because certainly from my own standpoint, he was really my writing buddy. We had such a great writing relationship. So it was a very sad time, and I miss him a lot.
Oh my God, the sound, his voice, the keyboards, Carl's drums, Steve's guitar. I was watching the videos last night of some of the songs, and Don't Cry, and I mean I could just go on the list, and it just, what a loss. But you and John, you really had a close connection. You guys you formed a project Icon, and you just recently released the trilogy of the studio albums. It's kind of a different vibe of Asia. Can you explain to the listeners what that project's about, and where they can go on Amazon and iTunes and purchase that for you?
Well, I think that it was another extension of our writing. I think that we had this facility to be able to switch from what we were doing in Asia to more what really just came out of our heads at the time, and we were very very proud of that the Icon catalogue, I think, because we managed to work with some great musicians, and it was very much about the two of us writing together, and that was really the idea behind it.
No, it's a lot of great music behind it, and I encourage folks to go look it up and continue to purchase and support your and John endeavors. And you also have another project with, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, Chris Braid?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've done 3 albums with Chris so far, and probably in the last 6 or 7 years. He's a fantastic writer, a great singer, and it's nice to have a younger guy to work with who's such a he's got such a vision, I think, and he's written with lots of really good people. So it's a nice project that we've got going now, I think.
Excellent. Well, some folks probably don't realize you were entered in the Guinness Book of Records as a record holder for performing with a record 28 keyboards on stage in a single performance. So congratulations on that.
Thanks. Yes, it's got that was the Asia in Asia that we did from Japan in 1983, I think.
Nice.
That was quite an achievement, and certainly one of the biggest broadcasts that MTV was involved in.
Yeah, all over. I mean, satellite. It was all over different countries at the same time. It was a pretty good deal back then. Before I let you go, I got to ask you. I see that you were also an album producer, and certainly you were involved with GTR with the great Steve Hackett and Steve Howe. I mean, how insane could that be? How do you choose which Steve is going to play which guitar riff? That had to be some
part. That was a difficult part. It wasn't an easy album to produce because of that very reason that I think they both felt that they had justification in having the prime slot of the solo. So I had to be a referee more than anything else.
Well, obviously, I'm sure you're still good friends with both of those guys, and the album was...
They're both, in their own ways, they're probably two of the most leading guitarists in the world, I think, and certainly Steve Hackett is a very good friend of mine, and I always go to his shows and see Genesis revisited stuff, and he does it really, really well. So,
do you prefer playing musician, or do you prefer being a producer, or do you like both roles?
Well, I never really. I liked producing for a while, but then I started to feel, when you're a musician and music's in your blood, it's very hard to suddenly go to the other side of the glass in the studio and be in that role when, I've kind of limited it in the last, I did about 10 years of producing, and as I say, it didn't sit that well with me because I would rather be on the musician's side performing rather than sitting there watching people perform.
Gotcha. Well, I'll let you go, Geoff. I thank you for your time selling over 50 million records during the band's long and successful career that has so far spanned over 5 decades among the world's most influential, groundbreaking, respected progressive rock bands. YES continues creating masterful music that inspires musicians, fans like myself, music lovers around the world. Catch these rock legends on tour. Go to their website at yes.com for a complete tour listing. Support Geoff and his music. Any other projects that we can help promote for you, Geoff?
Well, no, I just, I think you've covered pretty well everything. I've done a few solo shows here and there, but nothing major. I may do some more coming up, but I think the whole thing about YES keeps me pretty busy these days, and the various other projects, and of course we've still got Asia going out and doing stuff from time to time. So I think it's plenty to get on with, put it that way.
Excellent. Well, before I let you go, it fascinates me. It's such a small group of great musicians, from the King Crimson days, from Genesis, from Floyd, from ELP to Asia to YES. I mean, that core that you guys can all just go to different bands and come up with a different type of sound that's unique to that band and keep things going. I always was kind of amazed by how that all worked, and you all still talk to each other for the most part.
Yeah, it is strange that it's actually only a small group of people, really. It's like a small family, and all the projects are interlinked. So it's great to be a part of it. I see it as a privilege, and I always look and say, well, I'm so happy that I could be involved in it all.
Well, and the keyboards play such an important part in the sound of all those great bands. So you're right in the thick of things, and I salute you for keep going. And certainly, Geoff, thanks so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the chat as much as I have. Looking forward to saying hello in Peekskill in a few weeks, and all the best to the guys, and safe travels.
Okay. Lovely to talk to you. Thanks very much.
All right, Geoff. Geoff Downes of YES here at WBXO. Classic Rock Redefined on The Pat Show.
Mountains come out of the sky, they stand there 20 fold before my life.